As an entrepreneur, you're creating the values, you're creating the culture. People who want to choose the fast track for inner development become entrepreneurs because your business is an extension of yourself. It's not like a corporate job where you can clock in and you step into these values that a company abides by. You're creating the values, you're creating the culture. When they experience your business, it's experiencing you.
Pull up a chair. You're sitting at the table with Powerhouse Women, the podcast where bold women in business come to connect, collaborate, and build something bigger than themselves.
We always say, if you're fortunate to have a seat at the table, pull up 3 more. That's exactly what we're doing here.
This isn't just a conversation, it's a movement. We're creating space at the table for conversations that matter. The ones that challenge you, push you, and remind you that you do not have to do this alone.
Every episode, we're talking growth, success, and the real, unfiltered truths of entrepreneurship. No gatekeeping,
no fluff, just the perspective and community that you need to thrive. So, if you're ready to surround yourself with women who get it, you're in the right place, and there is already a seat with your name on it.
What's up, Powerhouses? Today we are pulling up a chair for Jordyn White, who is a hypnotherapist, a holistic trainer. She's deemed the brain trainer on Instagram. I have personally used her, and we still need to go even deeper with a breakthrough session. I am so excited to have you and dive into more because I know you've been adding on to your business, and so there's new information that we can share.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. It's gonna be a lot of fun. There's so much to share.
Yay. Okay, I can't wait. Let's start out real quick, because we have a ton of women, a part of Powerhouse Women, and then of course our audience, who are very high achieving women that are in a field that is entrepreneurship based. A lot of us are real estate, but a lot of us are in a lot of different places. When you are speaking to women at that high achieving level, what do you find is their stuck point? What are they struggling with the most? Why are they coming to you to figure out that breakthrough that is hard to do on your own?
Oh, that is a great question. Let's see. So in my experience, the stuck point will usually, the details of it are really different from person to person, but overarching, it's normally that these high achieving women have built this persona or a lot of unconscious strategies around being productive, around getting value and love or connection through their ability to achieve, to produce in the world, which on one hand is a super valuable thing to have because we get really far and it's really great. On the other hand, we sometimes reach this point where the old identities no longer serve us. And so as we're ready to step into something that's even deeper, more authentic, we naturally hit this point in life where we start to turn inwards and ask, what is it that I'm desiring, me as an individual, not necessarily from the standpoint of what looks outwardly successful, what generationally has been considered successful, but how do I specifically work? And that's where some of the old patterns start to break down. So a lot of people come to me when they're like, this has worked for decades and all of a sudden my old strategies aren't working and what the heck is happening to me? What's wrong with me? I'm normally so confident and competent. I need some help. And so that's where we step in and peel back the layers and see what's going on in the unconscious mind.
I love that. Do you think that you got into this and kind of built this? Because this is a very different way than I've talked to other people who are in this field before. Our first session, I was like, holy cow. I went for a walk with DeAndre afterwards and I was like, I learned this. And then I was talking to my subconscious self and I was doing all of these things. The imagination that you can dive into is just, mind bending in a way. Do you feel like you also fell into this category and you were kind of learning it yourself as you were going through it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I came across hypnotherapy because in my process of starting businesses, working for different companies, achieving all these things, I was experiencing this level of anxiety that I'd always kind of had, but didn't realize until a really close friend pointed it out to me. And so I was like, okay, well, we should experiment with this and see if we can get past this block. I tried just about everything that I could because the anxiety was kind of getting worse and derailing me and bringing up some deeper aspects of myself that I was like, ooh, I don't like looking at that. One of my friends got certified in hypnotherapy and was like, hey, I can rewire your brain and change your personality. You want to try it? I was like, sure, I've tried everything. What do we have to lose?
Why not?
Yeah, right. Let's go. We did a 3-hour session and I literally felt something leave my body. And I was just different from then on. And I was like, there's no way it was that easy. That's ridiculous. But what I learned is when you work at that level and actually get to the core root of what's going on, it really is that easy. So I was like, yes, please. I want to go learn how to do that. So in tandem with all the other things that I built businesses around, I added hypnotherapy to really help unstick yourself because we just like to get stuck sometimes.
Yes. And sometimes you're stuck, you want to get out of it, and you can't always get out of it yourself. And so having somebody else and a third person that can just see differently and unbiased helps a ton.
Yes, absolutely. Because it's such a frustrating cycle that I think probably everybody listening is familiar with, where you hit that roadblock and you're like, I should be able to get past this. I should be better than this. And all the shoulds and those little voices that we've picked up along the way are like, what's wrong with you? Just do the thing. You're like, I don't know why I can't do the thing. I know what the thing is. I know the exact thing that would move things forward, that would unlock this next level for me, but I'm not doing it. And that is, it feels so sticky. And so there's a lot of shame that we can experience in that as high achieving women, we're not really in environments where it's acceptable and normal to look shame in the face and be like, hey, what's going on? What's the message that you're carrying? It's usually like, no, we're not going to deal with that right now. Let's just set that aside. And it always surfaces. It always comes back up. So yeah, it's really helpful to have space to look at it.
That's a great point to talk about. I think especially with women, almost that sweep it under the rug, shameful feeling. I think especially in business, you don't want to look like you don't know everything or that you're in a position where you're stuck and can't get to that next level. So a lot of people don't talk about it. Do you think a lot of people actually hurt themselves by doing that? Because they kind of get stuck in a shame spiral in a way that then you're like a self-fulfilling prophecy in that manner?
I think that's spot on. Yeah. And I've seen this time and time again, is that we, as an entrepreneur, I always say, like, people who want to choose the fast track for inner development become entrepreneurs, because your business is an extension of yourself. It's not like a corporate job where you can clock in and you step into these values that a company abides by. You're creating the values, you're creating the culture. And so when people experience you, when they experience your business, it's experiencing you. And so when we have a moment where we're like, I don't know what to do, or, ooh, I really didn't handle that well, or like, yeah, I am actively self-sabotaging, it is so much more vulnerable to accept that and admit that. And so, yeah, we can create this self-fulfilling prophecy where we're like, we're not going to address it and we're just going to power through. That is what everyone defaults to, is like, just more discipline. It's just a strategy thing. I just need a better strategy and a system. And sometimes that's the case, and sometimes that helps. But if you don't address that deeper root of shame, it does not matter what system you're using. It will always collapse under the weight of shame that you're not addressing. And ironically, addressing the shame doesn't actually have to be this like super big, earth-shattering, deep shadow work kind of thing that people have made it out to be. Kind of like you experienced in this session, it's actually pretty easy when you get past the mental chatter of the conscious mind and into the realm of unconscious. Things just kind of start flowing.
Yeah. Let's actually dive into kind of how these sessions go, how you, as like the hypnotherapist, the therapist, is also going in real time talking to one of your clients. Because obviously every client, they might have similar themes, but they're coming with something different. I know in our session, it was I feel like my eyes were closed the whole like hour and a half that we were talking. And the visualization became so crystal clear of my conscious mind and my subconscious mind not talking together. And that was kind of the big point for us, is how do we get them to be in the same room together? That was a lot of visualization. They couldn't even be in the same room together.
Yep. Yeah.
When you're approaching something like this, how are you creating the space for your clients to actually trust you and kind of fall into that, but also help guide them through, because they probably visualize in different ways, have different ways of communicating that to you. How are you processing that and helping them like mind map together?
Yeah, great question. There is 1,000 details that go into even just the first meeting with someone, that in the training and just in my process of learning the psychology and how to get past people's defense mechanisms, there's both energetically and verbally ways that we can just create a really open space. Honestly, the biggest thing is just right off the bat being like, hey, I am a hypnotherapist. I consider myself more of a coach than a therapist. We might have had the same conversation. I'm not going to coddle you. I will create every environment and everything that you need to be successful right here. But if there's a pattern that you've been stuck in that you're not seeing, my job is to make sure that you see it. You finally make contact with that thing. And so just right off the bat, just eliminating any like, you don't need to perform. I promise there are crazier things that I've heard than anything that you're going to tell me, and all of it is just a part of the process. And then just literally the process of getting into a deep trance will help bypass the conscious mind and all the filters that usually keep us from seeing the deeper things beneath the surface. So usually if someone is very competent and very on top of things and very, I'm in charge, I can do this, I don't need support from anyone else, it can be a little bit tricky to get into a deeper relaxed state because the unconscious mind can be like, no, I can't let go. Like if I let go, bad things are going to happen. I have to do it or no one else will. And
I have to be in control.
Yes. Yeah. It's usually a control thing. So really just creating a space where I can see the person that's in front of me. And that's what I love about the one-on-one work is you get to be so specific. And the way I see it is everything that the unconscious mind presents, everything that comes up is a thread. And when we pull on that thread, the unconscious knows exactly how to unravel this little wad that we've gotten ourselves into. We just need to, it's kind of like when your necklace gets all tangled and you can't just yank on it. You have to like really gently and intentionally unravel it. And if you're really paying attention, your deeper mind will literally tell you exactly what needs to happen. But the cool thing is that as you start getting familiar with the process, your brain learns really, really quickly because it automates behaviors really fast. So once even one part of you feels comfortable with relaxing into a deeper trance-like state, more parts of you will follow. And the deeper you get, the more you're literally shifting the chemistry in your brain to deactivate the part of your brain that's responsible for managing your connection to yourself, that chatter that's saying, is this good? Is this okay? Are we safe? Kind of the alarm system. Literally doesn't just calm down. It disconnects from the other parts of the brain. And the creative problem-solving centers start to come online. Which is why when you're in that space, as you experience things, it feels like it's starting to open up, where you're like, oh, I dipped my toe and now my unconscious knows that it's safe, so maybe I'll put my foot in. Oh, this is actually really nice. Maybe I'll like get in waist deep. And then at some point you're just like fully swimming in it and you're like, I don't even know how I got here, but everything just kind of opens from there. So it's gradual and you really got to match each person's pace.
No, I love that. I remember in our session, my subconscious and conscious mind couldn't visually be in the same room together. We eventually got them that they could be in the same room, but they were opposites. They wouldn't even really look at each other. One was like, trying to talk to the other one was ignoring it. And it was so cool. The visual was like these two different, not even people, but images of whatever this theory is. One can talk and communicate to me. One cannot at all. It can only like hand me stuff. And at first it would be like, it would set something on the ground and I'd have to go get it. And I'd have to like interpret what it is. Like the way that your brain comprehends things, that I feel like in my case, that subconscious part that like wasn't fully able to speak to me was because there was shame around it and I wasn't able to fully look at it yet. So of course it can't communicate with me. It can't tell me because I don't even want to talk to it. I'm not even going to explore it yet. And in one session, it still didn't talk to me, but it was able to like communicate enough, be in the same room. Like my whole body started feeling better. Like, I mean, at the beginning, I was like, I don't even want to acknowledge like the feeling in just an hour, let alone in your breakthrough sessions that are much longer to intentionally go deeper. The impact that can have, I can't even imagine. So I'm super excited for that. Let's dive into what those true breakthrough sessions are, because it's beyond just a session. One thing that really stood out to me when you were talking to me the first time was, it's different than therapy. I love therapy. I go to therapy every week. But Therapy is one of those things that you kind of just keep going to, and there's always something that you can like continue on. But your breakthrough sessions go in so deep and it's so intense at the beginning that you can do like that deeper work and don't have to just do this continual. It's a little bit different structure, which stood out a lot to me. It's going after the root. It's really unraveling all of these things and then setting yourself up with a new foundation to kind of get to that next level. So talk about your breakthrough sessions, how these are longer, it's more drawn out, why you came up with this approach and why it's worked so well for your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So a breakthrough session is between 6 to 8 hours, split up either in one day or 2 consecutive days. And the purpose of that much time is, I like to describe it as a deep spring cleaning for your unconscious mind. And I'll also give the analogy of like, if you want to learn Spanish, would you rather do it for 30 minutes a day on Duolingo, or would you rather just move to Mexico and be immersed in it for a couple months and then come back speaking fluently? It's about the equivalent, because the amount of time that you spend in that deeper space, it's not linear, it's exponential, the amount of results that you get. And so even just from 1 hour to 2 hours, you'll see a massive difference. But then you have the full 6 to 8 hours, and we literally shift something so deep within the core of your being that I have never seen any other modality get to the root in this kind of way. And essentially, we go through a couple different phases where, first off, we're going through pattern mapping or mind mapping. And this is where it's basically what it sounds like. We're creating a very elaborate web of your unconscious mind. How is the unconscious mind even forming the problem? It's not so much content. Therapy can be a lot of content, like what specifically happened? How did you react to that? How did that feel? There's a bit of that here, but we're literally looking for structure of the problem. If you think of it as like the blueprint that your unconscious mind learned to operate from, we're trying to understand the layout of the blueprint. What's here? What are we working with? Where are the walls? Where are all the hidden passageways that we don't know exist? And it takes a little bit of time. So that's the first about 2 hours, because it will come in layers. The unconscious mind, its primary job is to keep us alive. It cares about our quantity of life. It's the conscious mind that cares about our quality of life. So as we spend time there, as the unconscious starts to see, oh, we're safe, this is okay, we get closer and closer to what we call the greater problem or the core wound, which is that one thing, it's the root system that if you could uproot from here, everything else that's connected will come with it. It has this massive domino effect. So instead of modalities that will work with significant events of like, when I was 20 something, I had this relationship, and then when I was 17, this thing happened. It gets right to the root of from the very beginning, and then everything else goes with it. So once we have that, it's literally this detailed map of here's exactly what we need to go dismantle. Here are the roads that are working. Here are the roads that are blocked. And here's what we need to change in the infrastructure. So then we can actually get into the release work. And this is where it gets really fun, because we have lots of different modalities that we'll use, or different methods that we'll use for releasing from all 4 bodies: the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the energetic. Again, a lot of modalities, we'll get a couple of them. Reiki's really good with energetic. Therapy's really great with the mental, emotional. There's a lot of things that work with the physical body to release stress and trauma. But the modalities that we use hit all 4 of them. So it's very thorough. So you leave without any little threads left of the weeds that might grow back. From there, I always like to say you need to hoist the anchors. You need to remove anything that's going to keep you in place. And then you need to set a direction, because if your ship is free, but you're just like floating around, then it might feel really nice and you're like, wow, I'm so free. But if you don't have somewhere you're going, then like, what's the point? So we go through a really detailed process of how to set a goal in a specific area of life. For most people, this is career. And that runs through your internal value system. So this is, what are you unconsciously prioritizing in your experience without even realizing it? Because most of the time when we say we want something, but our actions aren't lining up, it's usually a conflict in our value system. So we get really clear on what's running this, which values are in conflict with each other. How do we help harmonize all of your energy to create this synergistic movement where you're not like, part of me wants to do this, but part of me wants that, but another part of me this, and all of it learns how to find harmony so that you can move forward without that same restriction.
Yeah.
And then it's just about staying consistent. Like, what strategies do we need to implement for you to actually take action? And sometimes that's where people have a really hard time, is they get all clean and clear and ready to go. They know their goal. They're doing their future self visualization. Then it's time to take action. And they're like, tomorrow, Monday,
Yep.
after this vacation. And then it just forever gets pushed out into the future. And I've never done that. I'm sure you've never done that.
No,
one listener
never.
has done that, but everyone else does that.
Yeah, I know that. I know that very well.
Yeah, right. I know, for reals. And then all this energy, you're like, yes, let's go, just kind of falls flat. And that's the biggest thing, is like, and that's where the physical body aspect is so helpful, because you can do all of this work, but the thing that I've noticed from years of doing this is that the nervous system is the slowest to respond. There's a little bit of lag time where our brain literally has had an entire lifetime of data points that it's collecting, and that's what it's basing our future projections off of. It's what it's basing our day-to-day interactions, our responses off of. And so when you completely change who you are at your core, it can take a minute for that to align. So that's where just having the accountability of a group, of a coach, is so, so valuable to help it actually come through into the physical world. Because I feel like that's where a lot of us get really impatient. Then we're like, this must mean it's not for me. I should pivot. Let me go rethink my entire business plan. And then we're just stuck in these loops.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to think about. And I know in your sessions, you even talk about like, there's like 1 or 2 weeks that you have that it's like true integration beyond just like, what do we do? You kind of have to settle. You have to let your nervous system regulate. You have to get there first and then see what these patterns are doing. Like, this is not just you do this and then you're better. You do one therapy session and then you talk and then it's fine. Like, no, it's this constant cohesion of all of these different pieces, like you said, coming together, and then that continual practice that you then make your new foundation, and then you can level up from there and level up from there. Do you find that people, sometimes they can get stuck just getting there. Sometimes they get stuck after they've done all the work and then they feel clear and then they're not really moving on to the next thing. Do you ever get the sense from people that they're putting off doing the work because they think once they've done the work, like there's nowhere else to go?
Ooh, interesting. Yes. What do you mean nowhere else to go? What do you mean specifically?
I guess, like, do you think people, I'm even kind of trying to imagine this for me. Like, I'm always thinking about, like, how do I evolve in whatever facet? Sometimes I'm only career-based, sometimes I'm in everything. But I think there's sometimes this subconscious element that I find that's working in the background. It's like, well, if you do all of that work, or if you do all of these things on your list that you want to do, then you're just going to be done. Like, what's next after that? Like, if you achieve these things, then what? Like, what's there to look forward to? And in reality, I know that's not how life works. There's always going to be something else. Mm-hmm. But do you feel like there's ever this subconscious thought that keeps people in a situation that they probably need to grow out of, simply just to be like, no, because it's something?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Especially the archetype of the high achieving woman who has built so many things and has so many things to bring into the world. It's usually we get to that level of success because of what's called move away from energy, which is I'm moving towards something, not necessarily just because it's attractive and it's so aligned for me, but because I don't want to feel some other way. And we pick up strategies really early in childhood where maybe it was you bring home a report card and you got a B and your parents were like, great, but you should have done better. Or maybe they were not so nice about it. And that was a really big deal. And so you were like, wow, I hate feeling this way. Note to self, let's not do this. Achieve to become successful so that I'm loved, so I'm accepted, so I don't have to feel that again, because that sucked. And so we can start building these empires on move away from energy. But at some point, once that deeper part of us is like, wait, this is really fulfilling. I'm good at this. I want more. Something awakens in us. and starts calling us to deeper, more authentic, even more, then those old identities have to dissolve. And the unconscious fear is that, well, this is what my empire is built on. So if I dissolve that, I'm achieving because I don't want to feel this way, then what happens after that?
Yeah.
We don't really have a concept of how do I exist in this world without the old strategies. So the unconscious will intentionally sabotage, will slow you down, will create reasons why you can't do that next thing because it just doesn't have context. It knows everything we've done up to this point, we've survived. It might have been really painful. We might know that there's something better, but we know that we stayed alive. If we make this leap, sometimes little or sometimes this quantum leap into a new version of ourselves, we might die. So we're going to not do that because that doesn't sound fun, and we're going to stay here. So it creates procrastination. It creates distraction. It creates this false sense of busyness where you have so many things that you're doing that you just don't have the right space to finally take the steps on the project that you know you really want to work on. So yeah, you can absolutely block yourself because something intuitively knows that there's a deeper level shift that needs to happen. But until the unconscious mind feels that it has the right environment or the right tools to process that deeper shift, it's just going to keep you in a holding pattern, kind of going like this, because it doesn't know how to move forward. So it's not malicious intent. It's not even laziness. And again, it's not something that just more strategy or more willpower is going to address. It's a fundamental shift in your outlook on what the purpose of you being here is. And that's a big thing to consider. So yeah, I definitely have seen that.
Yeah. And a lot of it, like you said, it's that protection piece. Like it's, even though technically in a way it is harming you a little bit, it can keep you in this pattern. It is there to protect you. And you have to let it know, like, hey, I got this. And I know that was something in our session that you were like, well, now you can talk to it and be like, I see you, like I got you, but we don't need to feel that. Like let's reframe this. Let's feel a different way. And you have to go through that awareness, the uncomfortability, the point where they don't even want to be in the same room together, get them closer, get them to communicate in their own way, whatever that is. What was a big shift for you personally going through kind of this hypnotherapy journey, both as a person and then also a hypnotherapist?
Ooh, that's a great question. So I would say in the last 2 years, I went through this massive shift where at first I got all of these tools and I was doing the work, but there was still this deep part of me that was like, oh, yay, more tools that I can use to perform, to get validation for. Yes, let's do it. So I built my business off of that. And it worked. It was effective. I had amazing client results. But there was something in me, that same pattern, as I started building more and more, and this deeper, more authentic part of me came online. And I dove deeper into the work and really addressed, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? And what is it that I want to create? What is it that I'm valuing for myself? Not because it looks good on paper or because the other successful people will be like, oh my God, that's so cool. But genuinely because it brought me joy. And I went through this weird phase where I dissolved so much of that move away from energy that was so motivating to me that I lost my motivation to do anything. And so I just kind of was chilling for a while, for almost a year, maybe a year and a half, where I really wasn't getting new clients. I wasn't creating new courses, really doing anything, because I was like, I'm happy with my life. Like genuinely just happy.
Things are going well. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, not just going well, but like I'm present. I'm deeply resting in this. I'm fulfilled. So I was like, now how do I move forward? So I would try to go to the old strategy of like, oh no, I need more money. Oh no, I have this new idea that I need to bring through. And it would work for a little bit, but the biggest shift was learning how to become so familiar with me as a human being, with what brings me joy, what I value, and then leveraging my value system to start creating from this move towards space, where it was no longer, I'm trying to solve these problems. I don't want to feel that way, but genuinely, what is so in alignment with who I am, with my freedom and my evolution, that it just makes sense for me to move in that direction. And learning how to be motivated from that standpoint was very different. and my pace of life is incredibly different now. It's very full, but it feels slower to me. It doesn't feel like I'm
Mm.
doing as much because I'm much more present. And I think a lot of times when we dissolve the old strategies that we've been using to motivate ourselves, sometimes it can change our level of progress outwardly. But internally, we don't really care because we finally have that rested, that like centered feeling that I think so many people are looking for of I know who I am, I know my place, I know that anything that I want, I can go create it for myself. So let me just rest right here. So it was really frustrating for a while because I was like, okay, this is great and I'm happy, but like, what do I do about my bank account? And what do I do with like all these old clients that I haven't followed up with? And all the things that the industry standard would be like, you're kind of failing at this right now.
And what
It
a
was interesting.
reframe. I feel like that's such a normal stage when you're young to kind of have, I feel like you have this natural, like, I want to get away from this or I want to level up from, I mean, even just grade school, just going to the next grade. It's kind of like embedded in you from that. But then sports and everything else that's involved. And then you're competing against friends and judgment and all this other stuff comes up.
Mm.
That it's kind of this natural process of growing up. But once you get out of that point, you're almost mentally putting on these other things of, okay, I gotta move on from that chapter of my career, or I gotta move on from this person, or whatever it is. And I feel like so many people, they're still doing it, that they're almost always trying to run away from something, but
Yeah.
they're thinking about that thing all of the time. So they're
Mhm.
not thinking about the thing they want, the goal or the manifestation or whatever you want to call it. They're
Mhm.
so focused on, I just don't want this, that
Yes.
you're more aware of the thing that you don't want.
Yes. And even if you're not like if it's not at the forefront of your mind, your nervous system is replaying the story because your nervous system is what held that energetic signature. And it's not even energetic, it's literal like neurochemicals that got bound to your fascia, to your muscle tissues. That when you're activating that old strategy, your nervous system goes right back into the same physiological state as when it was created. And so a lot of people, they're not like, oh, I never want to feel like I'm a failure the way that my mom made me feel like I was a failure when I was 10 years old. We're not thinking that, but that's what's happening in the body is we see this opportunity and part of it is it lights up because we want that thing and it is in alignment with our values and all of our adult mind resources are like, yes, that's a yes for me. But then we have these parts of us that also live in the body that are like, oh, yes, if I have that thing, then I'll finally be free from this shame or this hurt or this anger that I've been carrying for decades that I never really knew how to release. So I just intellectualized it and then tucked it away in some corner of my psyche, but it's still living in the body. So, yeah, we still feel those things oftentimes, even if it's not a conscious thought.
Yeah, I think you might have recommended it to me. I think there's a book called The Body Keeps Count or something like that. And
Yeah,
I think
that
it
keeps
dives
score.
into, keeps the score. And I
Hmm.
think I should read it. I understand the premise, but
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
that's a great
nowadays,
way to envision that. Um,
yeah.
but that's something like your body is keeping, even from when you were young and you don't even remember any of those things, any of those
Mm.
experiences are compiling on one another. And I think that's a big part too, is so many people run away because they had so many bad experiences of something before, then they never want to experience that again, even to do the reframe. And
Yeah.
sometimes they're really hard, but being able to be equipped with some of the tools to be like, look, you're going to hit these things in the future. So let's know
Mhm.
how to hit them the next time something like this comes up is so powerful. And you really do start feeling that shift in your body. Do you think a lot of people who come to you, it takes them a while to get like the mental physical connection? Is it a lot of the time separated, or do you feel like a lot of people kind of intuitively understand that it's connected?
It really depends. So I've had experiences where people are just more naturally in tune with their bodies, whether they realize it or not. And a lot of it just has to do with your brain's way of processing information. Because I've had people who came in and they did all of the work, went through a breakthrough session, and it took them a little bit of time for their body to kind of line up. Usually, if there is trauma of any sort, like a significant one, or just complex trauma, like a buildup of the same scenario over and over and
Mm-hmm.
over, it can take the body a minute to unravel it. But it's, when you think about it, we live in this framework where trauma can happen in an instant, but then we assume it's going to take you 20 to 30 years to unravel it. And that's not real. That's not how the body works. When you find the actual source of it and you're in that space of alignment where your unconscious is safe and ready to change, change happens like that. It's just getting ready to change that takes people a long time. And so
Mm.
some people go through all of the work and they were ready to do the work, but they weren't ready to take action from a new standpoint. And so that's where
Mm.
they can sometimes resist it in the body. They have everything that they need energetically, mentally, emotionally, but then bringing it through to the body can take a second. And that's where this new field of work that I've been diving into, working with the fascia system, which is that web of interconnected tissue that wraps every single muscle, every nerve, every cell, every bone in the body. It's what a lot of people would attribute to what actually stores our consciousness. And it's what the neuropeptides that are being released from emotions and from stress or from joy are actually binding to. And so it can be a really helpful tool to help integrate those shifts into the physical. Because once something comes through into the physical, you have ownership over it. You have that authority. You are embodied in
Mm.
it. But that can be the hardest step. I have had people though who are really connected with their body. Like one girl who came through working in career, she wasn't happy in the job that she was in, wanted to start her own business. And we're going through the release work and we get to the emotion of guilt. And she has this really significant experience, like went from being really subdued, really quiet, not even really making much eye contact to just vibrant and totally in her energy, and was like crying. She's like, wow, that was so significant. That's amazing. I was like, wow, yeah, you're being really expressive. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm always like this. It's like, right, yes, of course. Because when you work at that level, something shifts and you're just like, this is my reality, duh. And the other one is deleted.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing with that one is that she did a lot of yoga, did a lot of like Kundalini, and had great
Mhm.
connection with her body already. So when we did the release, she had been seeing a chiropractor for like 9 months or something. I don't remember. She talked about it on their podcast, but she had this twist in her spine or this spot of like intense tension in her lower back that when we released the emotion of guilt, she saw her chiropractor literally, I think like 3 days later, and he was like, what the heck have you been doing? Because your spine just aligned itself. Like your muscles are pliable. I can actually get in here now. And she's like, oh, I released guilt. And they did x-rays and he was like,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, this spot that we've been working on forever just literally aligned itself. So sometimes things like that can happen in the body if you're really in tune.
That's awesome to hear. I've heard stories like that before, and to me it makes complete sense. But that's such a good example. I think some can be chalked up to injuries or whatever, but I'm like, no, I truly think the body holds on to all of these different things. And when you're not flushing energy out, especially like whether it's a workout or something, like it's being stored somewhere. So it's staying with you. You just need to figure it out. So you just brought on this kind of new segment because you're always evolving and growing your business and how you're doing this therapy. You're bringing on this new fascia integration. How have you seen that kind of level up your hypnotherapy?
The cool thing is that the business that I used, that I started once I had all the hypnotherapy done with me, was personal training. So I've been a trainer for almost 8 years now and was always trying to find a way to blend this work of the physical body and hypnotherapy, and would see the relationship between how someone moves and how their unconscious patterns are showing up in their gait cycle, in their movement mechanics. And so I came across this incredible system called functional patterns that works with the fascia, and it can essentially reprogram deeper patterns without even really needing to know the story sometimes, simply by shifting the fascia system, by shifting and releasing what you're holding on to. So, for example, like a lot of people, what I've been seeing using this with my clients now is a lot of these women who are very high performing, who are very competent, who are used to giving everything that they have to the people around them. actually have really poor core engagement when we go to do the workouts. They have a hard time gripping and properly maintaining tension through their core, which kind of just reflects some, whether it's people pleasing or just your energy being all out here, managing everything around you, but not living from your center. And so I've had a couple clients where I've experimented with this, where I'm like, before we even get into the hypnotherapy side of this, I'm going to give you a little bit of context. We're just going to work with the fascia system and then let's see what shifts. And I've had some ladies, one in specific, very recently, just the other day, she was saying, like, it is so wild that as I'm learning how to like actually tension my body and connect in this deeper way, I'll feel things just like light up during the session and then they release. And then the next day, I'm just like setting this boundary with my husband that I've been meaning to set forever. I'm like, well, that's kind of random. And it seems really random until you literally think about like, when you're in the emotion of shame or of fear, what happens to the body? We usually collapse inwards. We get this arch in our back. We lose tension. All of our blood is rushed out to the muscles, not to our core, so that we're ready to run, we're ready to move. And when we live in that state always, we're literally conditioning our brain to run that same movement pattern in the body. So when we bring a little bit of conscious awareness of, okay, here's the pattern that we're going to work on, here's what you've been experiencing in life, let's just hold that loosely in the unconscious mind as we go through this movement session. And always, when you set a direction, the unconscious mind, it wants to support you. It wants to help. So it'll be like, oh, let's let that manifest in the body. And you can literally see the shift in people from before to after the session of them like standing more powerfully in their body, actually having access to more neurons, more connections through the system, that then when they need to go process the emotion of fear, they have a new pathway to do it through. And so it's this really cool synergistic work of just being able to take everything that you do in a breakthrough session and embodying it, literally embodying it even faster, which has been really cool.
Wow, I love that. That's awesome. And what a way to like have that mind-body connection as well, but you're doing it kind of a step further. I was a personal trainer all through college, loved it, obviously still work out, do all of that. But that was something for me that I was always talking about mind-body connection. But of course, it was like thinking about the movement, what muscle you should feel it in. Yeah. But connecting it then further to thoughts that are going on. And like you said, manifesting it in the body. Like that's, you're making that true connection. You're putting your mind on something. You have an actual goal. You're feeling what that actually feels like. And I haven't had anybody... They're not doing that intentionally. They're not doing that because that's their job doing it. I think maybe it comes to people and it's unintentionally happening and they feel that. But I've never heard somebody who, like, this is their actual path and this helps people connect those dots. That's awesome. So when you started your hypnotherapy business, now let's go over big overview, what this umbrella kind of looks like, how people work with you, and how they can get in touch with you to work with you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a couple courses that are in the works that are just about finished that I ran through so many breakthrough sessions and I was like, you know what? I'm saying the same thing over and over and over every weekend. So let's turn this into a course. So a condensed version that if people are curious to dive into this work will be live probably in the next 2 weeks. That's a great way. Yes, I'm super excited about it. It's a great way to get into the tools, try them out. It's all audio recordings. So even like the descriptions of what the techniques are all recorded. So for the high achieving women who are always busy, 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 you just hit play and you listen. Your unconscious mind will integrate. You'll set aside a little bit of time for the deeper work, and it's designed to work with your schedule. It's very experiential, so not a whole lot of like, here's the science behind everything. It's like, here's what we're going to do. Now go do it, because you don't need more explanation. You just need to do it. Beyond that, I do breakthrough sessions with people. Again, that's the 6 to 8 hours, usually with 2 to 3 months of like one-on-one sessions to integrate everything. Great way to connect on that is just Instagram, The Brain Trainer. They can reach out there. Website is in the works at the moment, kind of transitioning some things. And also with this new, the functional pattern system, if people are really interested in, this is great for people who are like know that they need to get their physical health under control anyways, whether it's nutrition or getting into another movement practice and need some accountability with that, and also want to do some of the deep unconscious work as well. Everyone who does the functional patterns, the fascia system training, has access to the online portal where they have all of the recorded resources as well. So a couple different ways for people to get started with that.
Amazing. I love it. You have so many options of how people can get started, and then you can layer it on from there. But get started the way that it works for you now. Layer on all the other stuff later, which is amazing. I'm super excited for your course. I'm very excited for you to come in on our Powerhouse group call as well and talk about it more. I know that a lot of our women, it's just that high achieving woman that you are chasing a specific goal, and it's usually in one industry or one realm. And I think there's a lot of, whether it's shame or guilt or some of these just negative feelings that are just there. And I feel like now as a society, we're talking about it more, which is helping a ton. But now we actually have practices that we can put them in place, and we have foundations that we can really reset. And even those big things from a very early age. So I love that you're building that out in so many different ways. It's kind of like a pick your own adventure. Wherever you want to start, you can get started. Just get started.
Just do it. Yes. Just get in it. All of the different courses have the same language, the same undertones to them. And it's really, I think of it less as like techniques and more of just a framework to live your life by that will shift everything. Once you get a little bit of context of how your unconscious mind works, it unlocks so much for you across every area of life. So yeah, any way that you can get your hands on the tools, just do it. Just do it.
I love it. One of the last things that we do before we let our guests go is we do a hot take. So we'll both do one. It could be anything you want. It could be something really off the wall. It could be something that's related to this. Doesn't matter at all. But do you have a hot take?
Ooh, I think I do have a hot take. Okay. It takes a little bit of explaining because my hot take, it exists on a spectrum.
Love it.
And my hot take is that, yes, there are some people who are high achievers who need to rest and recover and learn how to slow down. And I think there's a lot of people who fall into this category of like, maybe they were high achieving at one point and it's kind of slowed down. Maybe they went into the regulating soft girl era that has been really popular recently and are trying to slow their pace. My hot take is that I think a lot of people who are dealing with like anxiety or these low level discomforts that have been going through this like regulating era are over-regulated and actually need to learn how to hold tension through their bodies and through their nervous systems so that they can handle more. That they're doing too much in the realm of like, everything just needs to be slow and perfectly aligned in the like almost spiritual kind of language that is so valuable in the right context, but like disconnects you from your grit and from just being able to like exert your force, your life force into life. So kind of think some people have gotten a little bit soft in our society and need a little someone who can be really real with them and be like, you're kind of in your BS right now, and this is why you're not seeing the results that you want to see.
Ooh, I like that one a lot. On one of the other podcast episodes, we were talking similar to that, not quite this level, which I love. In all different industries and walks of life, people are getting too comfortable, I guess, being able to be like, no, that doesn't serve me well, so I'm just not even going to do it at all. And I'm like,
yes,
okay, well, and I think we were putting in the context of there's so many times that people, don't get me wrong, I say no to a lot of plans. I love saying no. It's one of my favorite words. But there are also times that more people in our world now are complaining about community. And there's so many times that we make excuses or we say no to go hang out with people on their birthday or whatever because we know that we can do it at any time. And we're like, well, I don't feel great or I'm not regulated, so I'm not going to go do it. There's a certain level of awareness that it's like, hey, I'm not going to be good in that. Like, I should wait for my best self. And then there's just like, I'm waiting it for it to be 100%. And I think we need to realize, like, we don't need to be at 100% to do all of these things. Nobody's expecting us to be at 100%. Should we put in effort? Yeah, but putting in an effort is not bad. And I think a lot of people have, because of this softer era, have become, softer and not able. I liked your word capable. of holding discomfort or putting in more effort even when you don't really want to. And it would be better to stay at home, but you're going to do it because of this community. You're going to do it because of your friend. So I think that's a really good one.
Thanks. Yeah, I think we just
I
get
feel
this
like
idea that, oh, go ahead.
yeah, kind of the same with like triggers. I hear that all the time now, which I'm like, don't get me wrong, I have triggers now that set me off, and I have to be like, whoa, Morgan, like, where are we going with that? Like, let's reel it back. But I think so many people use it of, I have to avoid my triggers. Not that I have to use them as information to then do something with, or realize like, hey, maybe something's not healed, or maybe I need to look at this aspect. Why does it trigger me? And like kind of move towards it and explore it with curiosity. And it doesn't mean everything, but I think people now, it can be little triggers and they'll just be like, oh, that's my trigger. And they just go a different direction. They don't even explore it. And I'm like, ooh, oh no.
Yes, exactly. And oftentimes, like the triggers in hypnotherapy or just in this framework, I believe that the things that are surfacing are coming up for your benefit. Like if you set your goals to go somewhere and to create something in your life, everything that's incongruent with that reality will surface because your unconscious is like, cool, sis, if that's who you want to be, you got to let go of this old identity. And so when you're avoiding your triggers, you're literally avoiding this aspect of your shadow that we call the golden shadow. That's like everything that you want is on the other side of this discomfort. And so that's where things like working with the fascia system, doing the breath work, working with the body, learning how to hold enough space for the discomfort to go through its natural cycle of like, wow, this is really uncomfortable. And it's like a wave, it hits a peak. And on the other side, it actually flushes and releases from the system. But we've become so regulated and so prone to saying, no, that doesn't serve me, which again is great in a context, but it serves a purpose. It's not the end goal, that we lose sight of how to hold enough tension within ourselves to finally complete the stress cycle and actually regulate. Not just like, oh no, I'm dysregulated, and then just numb it. That's not regulation.
Yes.
So 100% agree with that.
Yeah. Learning how to regulate and move through discomfort and not just run away from discomfort. Extremely, extremely important. I feel like there have been moments in my life that I am guilty of being like, no, I'm going to be softer. I'm going to relax more. Or I'm going to have, at one point I feel like I had a 3-hour morning routine that was about like, don't look at your phone, relax, meditate, also work out, journal, do all of the things. Yeah. I'm like, okay, am I doing a good morning routine or am I just avoiding some stuff in the morning? Like maybe a little bit of both. Like let's not get too carried away.
Right. It's always balanced and nuanced, but that's where you got to know yourself and have good people around you who can mirror back to you. I think we're also really soft in our community.
And call you out on your bullshit sometimes.
Yes, exactly. To be like, nope, you're in avoidance, or like, no, you actually need to like chill out. You need the rest. So.
Yes.
Be surrounded by
I love that. My hot take is random and totally different, but I'd love to get your opinion on it because you're in the health space as well. I've loved like full fat, whole milk, like all the stuff. I want all of it. If you give me 2% milk or nut milk, and those are your only options, like I get angry that it's so common now. And I understand that some people, very few, have actual allergies, and I totally get that. But for all of these people, for health reasons, I'm like, it's not healthy. Like have full fat, like get the real thing, get the authentic real thing. And that is my hot take. It bothers the crap out of me. And when places don't have it, like Lifetime doesn't have whole milk, and I'm like, I'm so close. Every time I go order something, I'm like, if I didn't love your location and be here, like I would go to a different gyms purely because you don't have whole milk, and I want whole milk in all of my stuff. From a health perspective, how do you feel? Are you whole milk? Are you full fat? What are you doing?
Oh, I am one of the few people, I legitimately have a casein allergy. So I can't do whole milk, but there have been seasons where I just like sucked it up and did it because I'm in full support of it. And it's kind of the same thing.
I love it.
Like getting so soft that we're like, I just want this watered down version of something. We're like, that's not doing the thing that you think it's doing. Like, just face it, be fully in it.
Just do it.
Yes, we need healthy fats. We need these things. So if I didn't have to, yes, exactly. So yeah, I really do think like, honestly, I think a lot of people's allergies, very few allergies are legitimately like a genetic or body thing, and a lot of them are like an unconscious mind thing, or they're a manifestation of some unresolved emotional thing. That's why so many people have gut issues, because they're not resolving their stress and their shame, and it has to manifest somewhere. So it manifests in the body. We start decomposing, and then we can't handle the full life because we are, excuse me, but a little bit weak. We're becoming kind of weak. So
yes, that was the answer that I wanted.
Yes.
Oh my God. So really, everybody, if you're not drinking full fat milk, you're weak.
Moral of the whole podcast is drink whole milk.
Drink your milk. It's good for your bones. That's one thing for me. I just went, I was in Colorado with my family, and my mom and I go to the bar and we order 2 glasses of milk, and the bartender was like, okay. And I'm like, I don't know. I just, like, my body needs milk. Like, I can tell my bones want it. And then my mom ordered some too. And I'm like, nice, Mom, let's go.
That's so great. Quality bonding experience.
Quality bonding. Mother like daughter for sure. Or daughter like mother, whatever that saying is.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we will finish out from here. This was an awesome podcast. We'll have our show notes that has all of her Instagram handles. We'll get your website when it's up and get your courses up there. We will definitely have you on again. We've had JL on before. So JL and Jordyn are sisters. JL is one of our marketing partners. That's who brought me in with Jordyn when they were doing the 12 Days of Christmas giveaway. I saw that your hypnotherapy call was on, and I spammed her like no other. I was like, this is going to be my call.
Yes, I'm calling this in.
Yes, okay.
You did. Yeah.
I manifested it. Like, all of this is working. I'm so happy you joined us today. I can't wait to get, when your courses are up, and then we'll get you on the Powerhouse Women Mastermind call, and we can share more there, and you'll have your courses ready at that point. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to say to anything as a close off?
I think that was pretty much it. Just really happy to have connected. Thanks for having me on here today, and excited for more touch points with the community. I feel like there's a lot of good work that support these women, and I feel like all the people, these high achieving women, we support so many other people. So it's really important to just take that time to really get the support that we need for ourselves so we can give from a full cup.
Yes. Yes. It is so nice to be around women who they are so used to pouring into other people, because then you get them all in a group together and you realize, like, oh, maybe I haven't been giving that much into myself. I've been giving it all away. It's really nice to be bombarded by other people, and you're like, oh, I am pretty great. Like, and people can give to me too.
Just like being that feminine, receiving, like, this is nice. I get to be taken care of too. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
100%.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Don't mind if I do.
Oh my God, I love it.
That's a wrap on this episode of At the Table with Powerhouse Women. Thanks for tuning in. If you love today's conversation, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review.
Your support helps us keep pulling up more seats at the table.
Want to keep the conversation going? Join the movement at powerhousewomen.com/society.
And connect with us on Instagram at Powerhouse Women.
Until next time, keep showing up, keep building, and remember, there's always room at the table for you.